Being powerful is a bit like being ladylike. So if you have to say you are, you probably ain't. So I think I like America most of all on the days when people are not going around shouting, USA, USA, we're number one, we're the greatest. I prefer the days when they don't do that, when they're probably most to be admired.
What is it that makes us boast about our greatness and belittle others? What is it that keeps us from ascending beyond the immediate? I cannot help but wonder what Hitchens would say today. It is a thought that somewhat haunts me as I stumble through communicating a similar belief of many before me, that we are brothers and sisters of the human race, with core values shared among us, which are hidden in the labels and divisions we create.
And if you understand freedom, it's based on tolerance and nonviolence. So if it's tolerance, it should be bringing all kinds of people together, and that's following our Constitution. We shouldn't be fighting among ourselves, because we shouldn't be fighting in Washington. If we all take the same oath of office, where does the fight come from? Somebody is messing up somewhere.
Libertarians proclaim reducing government interference because all Americans should be free to live their lives and pursue their interests as they see fit, as long as they do no harm to another. That peaceful, honest people should decide for themselves how to live their lives without fear of criminal penalties, and that the government's responsibility, if any, should be protecting its citizens from force and fraud.
The ruling class has always taught and trained you to believe it to be your patriotic duty to go to war and to have yourself slaughtered at their command.
The socialist soapbox calls for a classless society with communal ownership and perspective that is driven to enhance freedom, justice, and solidarity towards a goal of peace. Peace, of course, includes police abolishment, which I must say is highly unlikely to ever be a reality, but it is the only ethical goal.
Right? Forget about effectiveness or not effectiveness. You don't get to confiscate my money just because you and your friends vote to take it.
The deliberate pragmatism of conservative thought espouses the value of moral order and building off the best of the past with long-term goals that are achieved mainly through community and family with an ideally restrained and fiscally prudent government.
People are born to be free, and that their basic instinct is the desire to free themselves from coercion, authority, and oppression.
The ideal liberal is said to believe in that natural goodness of human beings and the intrinsic value of individual liberty, that to have an honorable society, we must have moral equality across sex, race, birth origin, religion, gender, class, wealth, etc., which is achieved through nonviolent modifications of institutions.
With certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
America, America, America. Cannot help but believe we have steered ourselves quite off course. We are now reading Chapter 1 of Crimes and Punishments, Reality. Step 1. We must agree on the nature of reality before we can begin to get on the same page philosophically. I am not about to suggest that my argument will reveal the nature of reality. What I care about is a definition and starting point that we can all agree on. To add another metaphor to my collection of very bad ones, to build a better society, we are like the customers in a bakery. It simply does not matter how the bread was made. We are discussing the bread itself. Whether the truth is a multiverse of big bangs or divine creation, we are where we are, and things be how they be. Reality is the state of things as they actually exist, as opposed to an idealistic or notional reason of them. Reality includes everything that is and has been, whether or not it is observable or comprehensible. A resource I encourage all of you podcast fans out there to explore is the work of Dan Carlin. His podcasts, Hardcore History and Common Sense, are well researched and presented with an attempt to minimize biases. The topics are varied accounts which often hinge on the difference between what has been accepted and what was or is more closely representative of reality. Even if you are not that interested in history, much like myself, the information grounds us in a holistic understanding of our place in understanding reality. Visit dancarlin.com after you have listened to the iMember Media Library, of course. Right after we go over a little bit more about what Crimes and Punishments in the 21st Century essays are, we will get to Chapter 1, Reality. Like most cops, the emotions felt when pinning the badge on my uniform for the first time was a source of immense pride, but also a shocking reality to the complication of performing a duty under the weight of such power and responsibility. The callousness of veterans cops and the braggadocious masculinity of the streets are immature expressions of the generations of trauma enacted on our brothers and sisters from a system oppressing us all. My internal fights with policing, whistleblowing, scholarly endeavors, reform efforts, and politics have failed in exhausting fashion.
And what I'm trying to say is that we are looking at people who are doing nothing new, and if we focus on the actions, then we can fix the things for next time. Because when you focus on people, we end up thinking we can chop their head off, they put a new person in and something will change. But if we don't focus on the methodologies and the institutions, then we will be totally missing
somebody, put them in a prison cell, do the paperwork, go back out and do it again. So what we really need is to change the incentives and disincentives so that no matter what the role, we're still going towards that objective that actually serves you.
More occupation, more vehicles, if your answer continues to be violent, because we have to understand that everything about policing is inherently violent. I have come in there with authority and told you what you will do.
I believe one of the reasons behind my struggles is that I had not laid out a consistent and intertwined philosophy of what in the hell I was trying to say. For the philosophical foundations of crime and punishment to be ushered into the 21st century, a reimagination of our institutions is necessary. Building off the famous works of Cesar Beccaria, I construct those pathways to the Enlightenment period of justice. Free will, sanctuary cities, gun control, eyewitness testimony, incarceration, and more must all work together for a prosperous society. Learning these lessons has been a brutal journey for me, and it is unlikely to be an easy one for you, but it is one that we owe to the future, to make a safer world for our children to enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Crimes and Punishments in the 21st Century by yours truly, Michael Wood, is most conveniently ordered from the evil empire Amazon, because we are in that 21st century after all. For the enhanced and expanded audiobook, check out Audible. In the meantime, the philosophical half of Crime and Punishments, all 40-some chapters and then some, is being presented as a free podcast from iMember Media at imembermedia.com and will be available on all major platforms and direct from the publisher. Pause the video or see the links in the notes and prepare for the challenge and adventure of self-critical thought. Chapter 1. Reality. Reality is an elusive concept, be it the rise and set of the sun, gods, the flatness of the earth, or Caesars. The assumptions we have held in our attempt to make sense of the world have demonstrated how impactful the assumptions we carry can be. In the 1999 movie, The Matrix, Thomas Neo Anderson learns that human beings are actually energy sources, like batteries and pods, for robots, and their lives are computer-generated hallucinations in a simulation called The Matrix. Most of the people are entirely unaware of the existence outside of the dream and enjoy their world, naively complacent with being harvested. The writers were conceptualizing that there is a difference between our perspectives and reality. Aware of it or not, the authors were observing and reporting on a genuine aspect of human life. Optical illusions are one of the many windows to experiencing the difference between reality and perception. Even when you know precisely what to look for and how it works, what you see remains the same and is unaffected by conscious knowledge. The illusion is the unavoidable truth of perception skewing reality. Recognizing the difference between objective reality and the illusion of perspective is being aware of being in our matrix. The information about perception and how it works is understanding our matrix. Our social constructs are a matrix. You cannot get out of it. But tremendous power is gained being aware that objective reality is something separate from the constructs of our creation. Once aware of the illusions around us, we can study them. The scientific method is our tool for measuring and verifying objective reality. The scientific method, combined with philosophical thought, is our tool for understanding nations, borders, states, race, gender, currency, marriage, religion, deities, family, and criminals. These constructs are not objectively real. They are created by society and only exist if society accepts their relevancy. If our societal bond recognizes their existence, then they are authentic to the conditions of life and part of our environment. Being part of our environment highlights the importance of social construction influence. Once we create a social construct, it becomes part of the equation, making a new set of conditions. If we have lemons, we can use them to make lemonade. If we add sugar, it sweetens the brew. If we add salt, it spoils the mix. Each new ingredient changes the flavor of the drink. This type of influence on our social construct is why communities must focus on what elements they believe will create the best and most beneficial social bond, even if it means leaving out some parts that are comfortable and familiar. Societal rules based on unproductive or harmful ideas can lead us astray in our development of proper responses to the actions of other human beings. As we strive to improve our recipe for society, we must take care not to be fooled by illusions in the form of easy answers. If we ask, does sugar enhance the flavor of our societal lemonade? An initial finding of yes could lead to legislation to increase sugar and begin a path which will appear promising but end in obesity and tooth decay. We must always take into account not only what we are adding to the mix, but also that a proper amount of each ingredient is used. Laws thought to be natural or divine have helped define the nature of crimes and create punishments that were conceived by individuals and used to influence the acceptance of fabrications that serve their purposes in social contracts. These corrosive fabrications must be removed from our societal constructs. They stand in opposition to the objective reality of human motivations and behavior. There is no natural or divine law created by unknowable external forces, only the matrix of society we construct and support. Fortunately, we continually gain information about the truth outside of social constructs. Despite that objective reality can never be fully understood, it can be observed and tested. The presence of our observation and instruments prevent an unbiased perspective. The divide between objective reality and socially constructed reality is a one-way corridor which is only understandable from within the limitations of the constructs. Everything that comes from within the matrix is created with the social constructs, including our ability to conceptualize the possibilities of reality. Reality acts on our social constructs, but what we imagine is of no concern and cannot influence objective reality. This is not a foreign model of thinking. Religions often share the worldview of the truth of the word being a reality outside of the confines of our lived experiences. When social constructs are used to claim absolute knowledge of objective reality, one is being deceived for the power collection of others. Actual reality is unknowable. The process of translating objective reality into the terms of social construction, such as languages or consciousness, immediately corrupts the truth. Conclusively, the affairs of objective reality are mostly irrelevant within the social constructions. Only how objective reality affects our matrix matter in our matrix. This means that in many cases, actual reality is an unreliable guide to the cause and effect relationship within social constructions. Therefore, the scientific method is a better guide to understanding and optimizing the rules of society than religious or dogmatic belief systems that are subject to the vagaries and inaccuracies produced by their own construction. Tune in to the next episode as we explore a subject much less controversial than the nature of reality. Do we have free will? Are we autonomous beings? I have my opinions, but I certainly believe that taking the worldview that we do not have free will provides us with a more meaningful purpose in life.